I've gotten a copy of Football Manager 23's alpha version. I was only able to play it for a day, but these are the 10 things that we noticed. Clap for emphasis. All right, I think it just hit the Steam. Let's go. Hey! Hey! Yeah, baby. Here we go. Loading screen. Strikingly similar. But it rips. It rips. Still made by Sega. Good. What are you? Don't know you. I know you. Good cause. Oh, it's a cool new opening screen. I love new opening screens. I'm really not hard to please. First things first, let's start off small. You can actually accessorize your dude now. You got an option for some bling. You can get a little bracelet. You can get some rings. You know, you can have some swagger on the touchline that wasn't previously available. I, for one, appreciate this because I try to make my person look as ridiculous as possible, and having massive bling is going to go a long way. It's obviously not the important stuff, though. But what is important is the second thing that we noticed. There is a pretty big change to the instructions you can offer tactically, and this has to do with something that is evolving. We're evolving together, man. Something that's evolving in the modern game, and that is the idea of pressing. They've added a few things defensively that you can do. One of them is just a reword. That would be the trap inside or trap outside. That is forcing your opponent inside or outside, but you do have two options that weren't there before, both of which I think are going to be critical to the way that FM23 actually plays, and that's whether you hold your defensive line and you drop deeper once it's broken. This is huge. This means you can play a really high line, but then drop deeper once that really high line has been broken. You can also invite crosses or stop crosses. This is kind of funneling inside and funneling outside, but kind of not. It's like they've almost broken it into two parts. I think trap inside and trap outside is basically what it was in last year's game, one that I'm still currently playing on Twitch, by the way. If you want to check that out, the link is in the description. You can, you know, I wear lower cut shirts on Twitch. It's true. You'll only see it if you go. YouTube has a very restrictive terms of service. The stop crosses or invite crosses is a way for you to explicitly tell your team whether you want those things to happen and maybe if they're going to close down late or not. Obviously, I didn't have enough time to fiddle around with that completely to know how much that impacts the game. What's more important, the trap inside, outside, or closing crosses down or not? But my best guess is that it looks like this. The trapping is everything not deep in your defensive zone, and once you're deep in your defensive zone, you are then either closing crossers down or inviting crosses. Thanks, Tom, for the sick animation. But then I actually had to go through it because the next thing I looked at was set pieces, and I'll let former me take it from there. Oh, it looks the same, dude. No. You don't know if it plays the same, but it looks exactly the same with a different UI. It doesn't look like they've touched them. I don't remember all the things that I said I would do if they didn't really touch set pieces at all. Did somebody compile a list? Because it looks like I'm gonna have to do all those things. This makes me sad. It makes me frustrated. It's a part of the game that has so much potential. It's a part of the game that managers impact so much, and everybody always says that works at SI that, you know, managing the team, that is what this game's all about. It's why, you know, plan out your new stadium and all this stuff that the board does. You are managing the team. Well, set pieces are like one of them. I mean, who do you think's running the training ground when a commentator says training ground stuff out there today? Like, this is so important. But there's other stuff. Let's get to it. The fourth thing that we noticed, the supporter profile thing works a lot like the club vision thing. So you get a message in your inbox from your supporters, and the supporter profile thing is really cool. Another fun way for you to get fired.
You're fired.
I love the breakdown of the types of supporters, the social media following, so you get, that feels like a minor thing, but if you're building a club up over time, it gives you a real feeling of accomplishment. And I love how one of the goals is like finish above Schalke in the league. It's very fan-based, and I think it's a nice touch. It's not a major touch, but it's a nice touch. You can combine that with the fifth thing that we noticed, that the club vision screen is actually at a major rework. Instead of jumbling it up all in one screen, they've broken it down. So you have your supporters club vision and you have your board club vision. You can also go to a performance tab to break down their assessment of your performance a whole lot better. You've got your match performance, your transfer activity, how they feel about your tactics, and the general feeling from both the board and the supporters about your squad. What players they like, what players they're not sure about, who they don't like, those sorts of things. Now, this actually does provide a much more realistic manager experience than the previous setup. It's much more accessible. Then there's the sixth thing I noticed. Scouting is a lot better. I know in this video I talked about, well, the biggest improvement they're announcing in these headline features is that scouting is better. It's a lot better. The most important part for me, because I am tedious about playing the game the right way, scouting is much less of a time sink. Like, to just scout the right way takes a lot less time. You can go to your scouting coverage and immediately you can see all of your scouts exactly where they're focused, overlaid on like an actual map of the world that presents your coverage of it with your assignments. Short lists work exactly the same, but in case you accidentally not interested list somebody, that list is available too. The players search is much more clearly defined. These are players in range. These are the players that you've scouted. Your recruitment focus is fantastic. The extensive knowledge thing is better than the percentages. It just is. And I do absolutely love the way near matches works, because you're always afraid when you set parameters that there's somebody just outside those parameters that you would love to know about, but you don't because you happen to have 14 pace instead of 13 pace in your search. Well, now those near matches, when it comes to your scouting, they're there, and you can keep track of exactly what your scouts are doing, so it doesn't feel like as much of a black box. You see who is in progress right now. It is not hidden at all. Don't worry, your scouting priorities screen is also still there. There's nobody there. Me. The seventh thing I noticed was the squad planner, though. This, I'm not quite as high on. It feels like it could be the new development center, where it is a big new feature and a tab on the left side that's brand new, but you don't really use it. There is one thing they didn't tell us about, though, in the headline features that I actually really like. And that's something called the Experience Matrix. Honestly, thought it was going to be moving faster. Oh, here we go. Oh, almost got me. Ooh, that was tough. This shows you the age distribution of your squad, kind of helps you stay focused. Of course, mine's going to be very heavily weighted in the development side, but it helps you stay focused and see where players are at in their career cycle. And you can also do it by position, so you can get a better understanding of where maybe you need youth or experience in your team. The squad planner works the same way, where you can look at individual positions, or you can show all positions, be like, I don't even use a defensive midfielder. Let's just see what we can do there. But I think a select few people are actually going to use this to plan their squad out multiple seasons in advance, and a lot of those people already do this sort of thing on an Excel sheet outside of the game. Just been brought into the game. Same with Development Center. I don't think it's going to have a wide use. The Experience Matrix is cool. Unfortunately, though, the eighth thing I noticed is tragic, and again, I will let past me take it from there. National teams are the same, but it looks like we're set for another year of national teams being bad. And for, you know, the official stance to be, well, nobody plays with national teams. Why should we fix the national teams? Nobody plays with the freaking World Cup 12 days after the freaking thing comes out, man. Now, if there was ever a time for international management to be improved in Football Manager, how about the one that comes out like 2 weeks before the World Cup starts? That's when I would have thought this was going to happen. It has not happened. That makes me very, very sad. Now, set pieces and international management, two things that haven't been touched in a long time, that in this video I was begging for, and that doesn't look like they've actually materialized at all. And the one that honestly makes me more sad is international management. It's such a missed opportunity. There will not be another Winter World Cup, at least for 8 years. I mean, this is when you do it. It could be a huge thing. It's, you're ready for the World Cup, and it didn't happen. They need to find a way to make the national pool and your interaction with your staff and your scouts and the national team more accessible. And your interaction with the team. I mean, you can't really do a lot of the things you do with the club. There's no dynamics, right? There's no building up that hierarchy and that understanding between a squad that every international manager will tell you is very important. Let's get into the match. I actually played a match with Borussia Dortmund. Yeah! Sorry, Jack. Yeah! Thank you. The ball actually like pops up in the air now when players take touches, and so bad touches aren't just the ball goes straight out on the ground. The ball gets airborne, and this is also when players are dribbling as well. So I've been begging for dribble moves for years. Those aren't necessarily in the game, but the dribbling looks better because the ball actually leaves the ground. And the overall ball action on shots, as you can see here, looks better. and it feels better. The overall match actually does feel significantly better because of the other thing that I noticed. There's like a chaos modifier now. Passes are wildly misplaced like they are in real life. Players are flying around, interceptions, collisions. The game seems more chaotic. It's much less like pieces moving on a chessboard. It's bodies colliding. It's players making stupid plays, great plays, usually Jude Bellingham, but other players too. Look at this free kick goal by Rafael Guerrero that I played one game. That's disgusting. But there is certainly more chaos in the middle of the field, and I think that the team working on the actual match engine, even though the graphics are obviously something that can still run on a smart toaster, the overall match engine experience feels significantly better and feels more realistic. I like it. There was an awesome opportunity to play Football Manager 23 early. Now I'm just waiting for the actual game to drop, like the rest of you. If you want to see more videos made with the Football Manager 23 Alpha, here's a playlist with all of them from some fabulous other creators.